Hey, it's that time again. Time for another episode of Shelve It or Shove It, the completely superficial way to pick books for your TBR based solely on their covers. I'm your hostess, Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. This is a game where I look at new release book covers from Goodreads this time for the month of August to pick one book to add to my TBR for September. Just looking at the cover, not looking at the blurb or anything else. As usual, I'll be looking in the genres of science fiction, fantasy, and horror, starting with science fiction. And first up is The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. Okay, there's a lot of things going on with this cover. The title, The Once and Future Me, I assume is sort of a play on The Once and Future King by T.H. Weiss, so maybe there's a Camelot theme. Future Me is making me think of time travel, and the illustration is kind of interesting because it's like this older style of comic strip, sort of like a Liechtenstein in this old tube TV. So because of Liechtenstein and this TV set and the style of the drawing, I'm thinking about the 1960s. So is this a time travel to the 60s? The Once and Future Me. Actually, the Once is giving me Clockwork Orange. So I'm getting a lot of 60s vibes and I'm getting time travel. Okay, what I like about this cover is it's telegraphing to me some aspects about what the book could be about. Time travel, Arthurian legend, 1960s. Unfortunately, it's not something I'm looking for right now. So for that reason, I'm going to shove it. Next up is These Memories Do Not Belong to Us by Yiming Ma. And it's a flower that's being sort of pixelated in a disappearing type poof. I have a feeling this is going to be literary, and a lot of times when I read literary, I get more character-driven stories rather than plot-driven, which I usually prefer plot-driven. But because of the title, Memories Do Not Belong to Us, and this sort of flower that's being pixelated in this burst, I'm guessing this is something about replacing a person's memories, wiping their memories and replacing it with someone else's, maybe some type of AI, robotics, android type situation. That said, I'm not drawn to this cover. I think it looks a little bit lazy, especially with the font they've chosen compared to what we had before in the Once and Future Me. So for those reasons, I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is The Island of Last Things by Emma Slowly. I love this illustration. This panther holding onto an arm. I am assuming it's something to do with the island of Dr. Moreau because it says island and there's this panther and human mold. And gosh, it's really Art Deco, I think. I really like this artwork. And I just read a Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells retelling or inspiration, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. That's it. Okay. Everything is firing for me with this cover, so of course I'm going to shelve it. Next up is Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. And I love this illustration. It makes me laugh. Annalee Newitz, I've read the Terraformers before, and it wasn't my favorite book. It was a collection of novellas in a sort of solar punk themed collection. but I didn't hate the writing, so I'm willing to give Annalee Newitz another chance, especially with such a vibrant and interesting cover of robots making noodles. So, of course, I'm going to shelve it. Next up is Sunbirth by Ann Yu. This cover is not good. It looks very amateurish, looks very Photoshop. The color blocking, I don't even like the color blocking. There's this burnt hole in this woman's face. I don't know what this could be about. I don't like this at all. I'm going to have to shove it. Now we move on to fantasy, and first up is R.F. Kuang, Catabasis. I don't know if the name of this title is supposed to mean something. I don't recognize it. R.F. Kuang's one of my favorite contemporary writers for both the Poppy Wars and Babel. This cover is reminding me more of Babel. There's this Escher stairwell, and I'm assuming this is going to be some type of academia book because it looks like there's chalkboards, and this could be another school. I'm wondering if it's set in the same world as Babel. I love this. I love the cover, I love the author. Of course, I'm going to have to shelve it. Next up is Hemlock in Silver by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher is another one of my favorite authors, and she's known for retellings, fairy tale retellings of really obscure things. A Sorceress Comes to Call, which it says on this cover, is about a fairy tale called The Goose Girl, which I've never read or heard about before. This one, The Apple, I'm thinking about Snow White. I'm kind of hoping this is not Snow White. This is another more obscure fairy tale, if it is a fairy tale retelling. And Hemlock in Silver, maybe I'm thinking Rumpelstiltskin. Not sure where we're going with this, but I love this cover. I love the apple and this flower or vine that turns into a snake. Of course, I'm going to have to shelve it. Next up is The Society of Unknowable Objects by Gareth Brown, best-selling author of the Book of Doors. I don't know this author, and obviously from the cover, we're getting chess. And I like actually watching some YouTube chess videos. I'm not very good at chess. I think I joined chess.com and got up to like 600 in a few weeks, but I didn't want to continue. And there's a hand moving what looks like a rook, and there's a couple people around it. Society of Unknowable Objects. I'm not sure what this could be. I'm assuming this is a contemporary fantasy. The chess, I'm not sure how that comes in. I'm not that crazy about this all reddish cover, although it does sort of pop. I'm not that drawn to this. I think I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is The Magician of Tiger Castle by Louis Satcher, Bit-Selling Times author of Holes. Oh, I love Holes, the middle grade story. This is giving me middle grade vibes, even though I don't think this is a children's book. But I like the tigers, there's like little mice, there's a cauldron, there's a castle, tiger castle, and a potion. Now, the style of the cover isn't my favorite, where it's just like the text surrounded by stuff. But once in a while, it does sort of draw me in, especially with this title, Magician of Tiger Castle, and these little illustrations are so cute. And it is swaying me that he's the author of Holes. So for those reasons, I think I'm going to shelve it. And finally, in fantasy, House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. Because of the title, I'm assuming this is going to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling or inspired book. There is the Eye of the Beast, and there are a man and a woman. The woman's holding a sword. I hope this isn't like a young girl. She looks kind of young, but it's hard to really tell by the illustration. And interesting, in the beast, this bluish beast fur, it looks like there's a saint or I don't know, an angel or this goddess. I'm not really into Beauty and the Beast retellings. I mean, I have a feeling this is going to be romantic-y. I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people, but it's not for me. So for that reason, I'm going to shove it. Now we're going to move on to horror. First up is Ecstasy by Ivy Picciotto, author of Sing Her Down, winner of the LA Times Book Prize. This looks fantasy to me. It doesn't really scream horror. It reminds me of some of those covers for those Greek retellings, and I'm sort of blanking on the titles or the authors, but I read one once. Okay, I'm thinking of Lore by Alexandra Bracken, and the cover actually doesn't look anything like this, but I've seen similar covers like this. But whatever this cover is trying to get across, this face, a snake, this mosaic style, it's not really drawing me in, so I think I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Smile for the Camera by Miranda Smith. Cameras, plural. Smile for the cameras. And I like there's this little sticker price tag that's on it, so it's giving sort of a retro feel, probably from the 80s. And the cover itself, it's a haunted house story. And it's this little A-frame house. It's there's so many haunted house stories out there. I think it's just really overdone by this point. It seems like every month for Shelve It or Shove It, there's another haunted house story or two every week. So, I mean, every month. So, yeah, not interested. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Bad Creek by Peyton June. I really like this cover. I like this woman's head that's sort of half in the water of this creek. And there's a skull in the reflection. There's other bones floating behind her. Some family traditions are to die for. I'm wondering if this is supernatural or not. I'm assuming it is because of the skull and everything, but it could be a family of serial killers. Oh, and there is a house in the background, so maybe it's Haunted House Book, yet another one. But because I love this illustration so much, I'm going to shelve it. Next up is If We Survive This by Raquel Marie. And we see a hand holding on to someone's shin. And there's this forest and a girl holding a knife. This is some type of survival book, I guess, where this person's being hunted, or maybe they're hunting someone. I don't know. I'm not really that interested in it, although the illustration style is kind of intriguing. But I don't think this is the type of horror I like. I'm going to have to shove it. And finally, in horror, and our last book is Best of All Worlds by Kenneth Opel. And we get another haunted house book, or I'm assuming a haunted house book. This one's upside down. I've seen this a couple times before, and this does not look great. This type of illustration and cutouts, and I don't know, it looks a little amateurish to me. Not interested, so I'm going to have to shove it. Okay, it looks like we have 2 science fiction, 3 fantasy, and 1 horror. In science fiction, we have The Island of Last Things by Emma Slowly and The Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. In fantasy, we have R.F. Kuang's Catabasis, Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher, and The Magician of Tiger Castle by Louis Satcher. And finally, in horror, we have Bad Creek by Peyton June. Okay, so even though the science fiction covers are the most colorful, I think I'm going to focus on fantasy this month. It's been a while since I've picked a fantasy, so I'm going to go ahead and say no to the 2 science fictions and 1 horror. So the 3 books I'm looking at are R.F. Kuang's Catabasis, Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher, and The Magician of Tiger Castle by Louis Satcher. And the authors are kind of at the same level for me, because R.F. Kuang, T. Kingfisher's 2 of my favorite fantasy writer. I loved Holes by Louis Satcher. Really curious about their adult books. I've never read an adult book by this author. So all these books are intriguing me, but I'm just going to focus on the cover. And the one that keeps popping out at me from these 3 is the apple in Hemlock and Silver. It's just so bright, bold, and there's sort of that center point that's just, drawing me in. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Now let's go ahead, look it up, and read the blurb and see what I've gotten myself into. From New York Times bestselling and Hugo Award-winning author T. Kingfisher comes Hemlock and Silver, a dark reimagining of Snow White steeped in poison, intrigue, and treason of the most magical kind. Healer Anja regularly drinks poison, not to die, but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. But a summons from the king interrupts her quiet, herb-obsessed life. Her daughter Snow is dying, and he hopes Anja's unorthodox methods can save her. Aided by a taciturn guard, a narcissistic cat, and a passion for the scientific method, Anja rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. That is until she finds a secret world hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick. Or it might be the thing that kills them all. Okay, I know we've had a lot of Snow White retellings and reimaginings, but I think T. Kingfisher is going to bring something very special to the table, and that's what it sounds like by the blurb. We don't see like a wicked stepmother. We see this healer, Anja, who drinks poison to find cures for people and is trying to treat the king's daughter Snow. And it looks like there's a portal fantasy element to it through this magic mirror. So it's taking elements of Snow White, putting a huge dark twist on it, and giving us something special. To me, this is classic T. Kingfisher. But I want to know about you. What book or books would you have picked based solely on their covers? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.